What are you two talking about?
Oh, nothing. Just the end of the world.
Whoops, I started on you.
Whoa, nothing wrong with that.
Sorry, no one wants a close-up of just you.
My goodness.
Folks, welcome to Pods the Watchmen. We're your hosts. I'm Grant.
I'm Clay.
And we are your weekly companion podcast for the 9-episode miniseries of Watchmen. And unfortunately, we've come to the end of the road, Clay.
My goodness.
This is it.
We did it.
We
you
did
know,
it.
It's been, well, I mean, I was going to say 9 weeks, but also many more moons than that, because I don't know if people are following along, but we actually reviewed the comic book series before that. So we've spent quite a lot of time on this, and I was just kind of thinking earlier today, you know, undoubtedly people have done a lot better, right, in the last few months?
Yeah.
But dadgummit, people have done a lot worse. People have done a lot less with their lives. You know, every night we watch a TV show and then we come into a windowless room and talk about it with strangers.
Well, we're not strangers. We're talking about it mainly with each other.
We're best buds. People are listening to us, I guess you're right. Although we did get some live chat going on, which was nice the last few weeks.
Right.
Growing our audience.
Which, by the way, welcome to everyone who is on chat. Welcome to anyone who's watching us live on YouTube. We appreciate having you guys. You can go ahead and subscribe. I will say that I do recognize this is the last episode of the show as we know it, because thus far, unless I haven't checked the news yet, maybe they got renewed and they already announced it right at the end of this finale. But as far as I know, there isn't a second season planned thus far. So
Why do you have to start on a bad note?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Be honest with them.
We would love for you guys to go ahead and subscribe and join us, because we will be trying to do more things. We're going to continue on this week dissecting this beyond this week's episode where we're doing our review. But yeah, if you guys want to subscribe and follow us on our journey, whether we continue on talking about Watchmen and the additional comics, or if we move on to talking about other shows. You know, The Witcher's coming up. Maybe we could check out The Witcher over on Netflix.
Why do you have to keep talking about negative things?
You not feeling that one?
I'm not feeling that. I never played that video game.
Okay.
That's not my thing.
Fair enough. But
it can become my thing.
it could become
If
your
you
thing.
need it to be.
There's room. Folks, we want to say thank you guys so much for checking us out and liking us here, liking our podcast as well. We got a big boost of traffic the past few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we're growing as the show is dying.
Yeah.
The show is at
That's
its
how it
end.
goes.
We are talking about episode 9, See How They Fly. And man, this finale was something, huh?
It was, you know, as you see, I'm in a suit. I don't know if this is a wedding or a funeral.
You're feeling like Dr. Manhattan a little here?
I don't know if I'm celebrating or if I'm sad. You know, like the end of every good book or good TV show. This was excellent. I'm feeling good. I put on the suit just to kind of show some respect to the creators and the writers and the actors and everybody else, and to you for doing such a great job, by the way. Anybody reads or watches anything midweek at Patreon, you're kicking ass.
Oh, thank you.
Little shameless plug there. You know, and I was so excited that when I was reaching for my keys, I hit my forehead, just addressing the elephant in the room, hit my forehead on my bookshelf, which has been there for about a year now. And I just happened to hit it. Bleeding occurs. I think it was just the good Lord telling me, you can staunch the blood, put a Band-Aid on it. You're not going to staunch the emotions from the end of this show. So I just want to get your take here. We got eggnog. We're celebratory. We're feeling good in December.
We are drinking some eggnog.
What did you think, just initial impressions, when it ended, when credits rolled? How'd you feel?
I loved it. I thought it was powerful. I do feel that when I go down this rabbit hole of theorizing, there are certain things where I am like, oh, it's the plot's got to go that way.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't, I'm okay with that. In fact, it's quite a bit of a pleasant surprise. It's not like I go, oh, I called that.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay.
There isn't
This is
a giant elephant in that other room.
We had an elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And that didn't really get addressed, did it?
No, it did not.
An elephant was there to store memories, I guess. And that's what we're going to go with from that.
Or maybe it was taking some of the, well, not like the blue power or whatever to see how much somebody could take. Because remember, she said something like, somebody's going to explode whenever that happens. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought of that. So what happened? I know we obviously like to start at the beginning, but I'm just curious, where did it veer off course that maybe you thought it was going somewhere else?
I think I wrote actually a big list of debunked theories, stuff that I've been pitching here and there, either on the episode here or in the midweek.
So Looking Glass is not actually a squid in human skin.
Looking Glass, not secretly a squid.
Yeah.
is on the list.
We don't know for sure.
The Millennium Clock, what ultimately it was going to be used for, that was a little bit not exactly what I think I was anticipating, or a lot of people had been theorizing, especially with the idea of like weaponizing empathy. I think it sounds awesome, but that's not what they decided to go with in this direction here.
Yeah.
Which maybe for the best.
Yeah. Oh, I liked it. I mean, look, a lot of it mirrored, and we can get to this obviously, but just quickly, I love the fact that it didn't go that direction, and it went actually the direction of the original comic book series. Be afraid of people in powerful places and people who seek those powerful places, because they're usually not the best people. And Veidt said it, and then he also, they were dealing. You like the eggnog?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
That's some good nog. Anyway, you're actually a smart man for drinking nog without a mustache. So you might have to just come up with like a sign for me or something if I need to wipe the stash.
So gross. If it's in there, I'm just going to go to zoom in camera for you.
Yeah, thank you.
So everyone can look at it.
Let's move on. We know you're a man who likes the intro, the cover. You're a cover man, as they say.
I'm a cover man. Folks, if you guys are listening to us, we want to say real quick, thank you guys for your support over on patreon.com/Pods We had a couple of new patrons, so I was going to give them a quick shout out.
Yeah.
Giuseppe Vicaretti and Ben Burton, thanks for joining the Squid fam.
Don't wanna be
the Squid Squad.
Your beast of burden. Yeah.
You get a lovely little song there. I think I was zoomed in on you.
Good Lord. Don't do it. I got the Band-Aid on the forehead.
I'm professional. No one can see it. And then we want to say another way you guys can help us is to go to iTunes and give us a review on there. We got one, Clay.
Yeah.
We got one.
Which way is this one? Which way is the wind blowing on this one?
The title is Host is Arrogant and Humorless. 2 words. Humorless.
Wow.
1 star. I would have given this a better review, but the host considers a legit 4 of 5 star review as being a Richard. If you're going to ask for reviews, don't be a Richard about it.
Actually saying Richard, or are you...
It says Richard.
Is Richard capitalized?
Yep.
Is Richard 2 words like humorless?
Nope.
Okay.
So, hey, to the person who sent that review, fuck you. All right, moving on. If you guys want to support us, we appreciate it.
You do have good humor. See, they were wrong about you. They just caught you on a bad week.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to go in and talk about the whole show. We're going to start from the beginning.
That's what
like
we do.
Normal. And if you guys are in the chat, I want to welcome you guys to go ahead and talk amongst yourselves. And when we get near the end, we'll ask you guys for questions and prompt you for that. So thanks for tuning in there. Let's dive in with the premise is everything ends for real this time.
Uh-huh.
And the title is See How They Fly. This is from the Beatles song, I Am the Walrus.
Mm-hmm.
This is when they were doing a bunch of psychedelics and writing lyrics that didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Maybe not literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in particular, this is like from it's repeated a couple times, but in the beginning it goes, I'm going to try and sing this. This is going to be bad.
Oh, God.
I am he and you are me and we are all together. See how they run like pigs from the gun. See how they fly. I'm crying. Like that. I should have had you sing it.
Yeah. Oh, you did a good job.
Yeah. It seems to be in reference. I mean, people aren't really sure exactly what it's referencing. See How They Fly could definitely be about the squids.
Mm-hmm.
Raining down, see how they fly. See about how people move on from traumatic experiences, I guess. You have to walk before you fly kind of thing.
Oh, my God. You know what? Just really quickly.
Yeah.
Today I saw a sign for like a counseling clinic or something here, right?
Yeah.
And it was, the name of the company was Good Morning, but morning was with a U.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh. A little too soon for people actually seeing that counselor.
Yeah, no thanks. I want to go into a counselor and see that.
Oh, anyway, I didn't like it.
Do you feel in a way you're grieving about this episode?
That person could afford to be a little bit like more humorless, actually. 2 words.
Humorless.
Humorless, you know?
Tone it down.
Yeah.
See how they run like pigs from a gun? Some people theorize that is John Lennon talking about pigs being police officers, of which there are plenty that are playing a role here in the show.
Mm-hmm.
See how they fly, either how they're flying toward action or when they see a gun running.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Take it as you will.
Mm-hmm.
But we start this episode with the little clapper, little action cutscene with the Watchmen, where we have Adrian Veidt. He's doing that video that we saw in 1985, and it's the scene where he's going through the process of making that video that Senator Keene shows Wade in episode 5. The big conspiracy's afoot, and as he's making that, we center on one of the Vietnamese refugee workers that he has working in Karnak in his Antarctica hideaway evil lair, whatever you want to call it. And one of the ladies, we watched this together, and you immediately pointed out, hey, I think that's older Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
She's got the same glasses. And sure enough, it was the mother version of Beyond that we've been seeing the younger version of.
Yeah.
And she goes and she ganks some...
Nice first date.
Nice first date. She ganks some of his semen.
Essence.
His essence from...
replaces it with dial soap.
The fridge. Yep. A little bit of Jergens lotion in there.
Mm-hmm.
And shoots it on up and inseminates herself and then bounces.
Yeah, it gets 2346.
So, you think she was just after...
a good time?
The paternity checks? Like playing the long game there?
I'm not sure, but I did love that it all came back to, if people listened to our the phone one we did a few weeks ago, referencing Wikipedia and everything else like that about Lady Trieu and kind of the Vietnamese historical figure. So it's pretty interesting. If people have not read about that or heard about that, obviously direct quotations there with the subtitles from a lot of that kind of material, and that whether it's mythology or history or who knows, right? But pretty cool to learn about. It was cool seeing them address that. Which I think they did a good job of addressing a lot of little things like that, right?
And like so many people in this show, as Beyond says "fuck you" to Veidt and looks up at this painting of the original Alexander the Great, and as she's shooting herself up essentially, she quotes the whole Lady Trieu quote.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's powerful. It feels very comic book. It feels very much of this world that someone would have this theatrical grand gesture of a quote before they do something like that.
Do you think she was practicing family planning? I mean, this was before apps. She's tracking her ovulation.
She must have, yeah.
Pretty wild. You wouldn't go to those links. And also, remember, it was interesting looking at the computer with the retie the knot.
Right. To relock the computer, it was retying and tying the Gordian knot once again because he just loves his Gordian knot. I also, you immediately pointed out, like, the fucking lamest password, Ramses 2, because just like in the comic book, it's immediately hackable.
Yeah.
She wastes no time.
And he didn't learn from his mistakes.
No.
Talk about hubris, right?
Yeah, because he knew that they hacked into his computer before, right?
That scene, however, did include my cubes moment, which, golly, the last cubes.
Oh, man.
The last cubes moment, that scene had it.
What was your cubes moment?
Definitely her sitting there, legs spread. No, I'm just kidding. The cubes moment was the Tiffany lamp on the desk. Didn't add anything, but basically we saw it in 1985, and then we saw it in 2019. That's a timeless piece. It fits 85. It fits 2019. You know what a Tiffany lamp is, right?
No.
You know the one I have in my corner in my living room? The back corner right there?
The stained glass one?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, not the green reading lamp at the other corner, but that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Timeless. Timeless piece, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I didn't recognize.
Are you a lamp man? What are you?
I wouldn't think I'm a lamp man.
Really?
You know, Britt was just showing me the other day this lamp you can buy at Pottery Barn, which is this phoenix on a post.
And?
It's a Harry Potter lamp.
Oh, okay.
But it's this gold phoenix that the light shines out through. And it was like $300 or $400, and I was like, I don't think I'm a lamp man.
Oh, really?
So this is why I didn't.
If
even
Harry
notice
Potter
this.
can't make you a light man, then nothing can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't see this lamp on the desk.
Okay. Different
But
cues on it. That's cool. I like.
I
a little
do
tension.
appreciate how that warmed your heart.
Yeah, it did. It did. Anyway.
So, we jump from that scene to 2008 when a young Lady Trieu, maybe just Trieu at this point, before she took on the lady moniker,
More of a mademoiselle.
she's trekking through Antarctica to the door where Papa Veidt is, and she lays a bunch of information on him, like, hey, I know what you did with the squid. Mad props. That's a baller move. I think you're a genius, and I would love for you to lend me $42 billion.
Playing dumb the whole time. Playing dumb and innocent the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she, of course, like times it out. She's like, I'm gonna make my pitch. And then he's like, why are you going to do that? And then I'll be like, because I'm your daughter.
Yeah.
And explain how.
Uh-huh.
Didn't work.
It didn't work, but, I mean, she get A for effort.
It seems that, I don't know. I mean, you have to kind of anticipate that he wouldn't give her the money, right? He's a self-made man, and that's like so much of his identity that him throwing that in her face as well. It seems like that's what he would do, and maybe she should have had that kind of expectation.
For her, it's a win-win. If she gets the money, she can start her plans early, right? If he says no, which she could likely expect him to say no, then she could go and rub it in his face 10 years later when she does pretty much conquer the world.
True.
So, true indeed, friend.
Oh, I mean Trieu.
Oh, right. My
I say it
God. Caps lock. Humor less. Yeah, so for her, it's a win-win, and I think that she can, she's somebody who's so driven, she probably had to look him in the eye anyway and have him know that somebody got the best of him, right? Because he, for all he knows, 2346 is still his pure essence. Instead, it's pure ivory or dial.
Yeah, 2346, you remember. She says, yeah, your vials have come. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
That's your dad.
Yeah, and that should kind of,
Weird.
and it's funny because that should have been his tell that like she's just playing dumb. She's playing the dumb intern or something like that, right? Yeah. So,
She ain't fucking around at that point.
no, she did not even say semen.
She didn't say the word semen. There's a part where he's kind of talking about like how he made that video, and we end up finding what was the result of it. He gave it to Robert Redford, and Redford just outright dismissed it and dismissed him and said, I don't want any part of any dealings with you, which in a way kind of gives you this idea that like he feels that he did all of this effort for nothing, and now he doesn't have that foot in the door with the most powerful people playing in the world's affairs, right?
Well, let's look at why he left last week.
Right.
It was because he wasn't appreciated and they were still destroying themselves and everything else. Yeah.
But I think she rolls in and just like okay boomers him, right? Or he's like, oh yeah, see, I got the squid machine. I'm just like dropping squids. And she's like, oh yeah, so you really haven't achieved anything else since 1985. You're just playing that same record, huh? And him and his Miami Vice jacket's like, what? I think she hit him where it hurts.
She did. He's no longer the innovator, but that's what happens. When you become the giant, you're no longer the startup.
But look at the difference between where he was there in 2008 when she comes to his door, and now he knows he has a daughter.
Yeah.
And when about a year later, Manhattan drops by and is like, hey, I need you to give me an amnesia bullet for my head. So he seemed to be like, in decent spirits. He's like working around the house and getting things done, dropping squids, showing it off.
2008?
To his daughter. Yeah, in
Yeah.
2008. And then he just is going through the motions,
Right.
and he's broken in 2009.
That's a good point.
I think she hit him.
That's a great point. I mean, 85, you're completely right. 85, he has a mutant lynx, right? He has a bunch of toys that he's licensing, right? He has what were we calling it? A vivarium?
A vivarium, yeah.
He has android or robot butlers. No?
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
No, I don't think they're androids. I think it's just he has Vietnamese refugees.
Oh, and then he poisoned them?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I
he
thought
poisoned
they were androids, and I thought he planned it so that their battery ran out right then. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Forgive me. And And now in 2008, you're right. He's dropping. Oh yeah, and also of course he was launching the greatest plan known to mankind in 1985. You're right. 2008 probably seems cool. He still has the bunker.
Mhm.
He's still dropping squids, but they're Tiny Toons.
Yeah, he's definitely lost his mojo.
Yeah,
He's on the downward slope.
and it's funny that he just kind of took it at face value that Dr. Manhattan was on Mars. He didn't even the old Veidt of 85 would have investigated that.
Yeah.
Did Veidt not invest in enough satellite tech?
I love how she threw that back in his face where he's like, oh, like he was just talking about like how, oh yeah, the simpletons don't know about the squid rain and how this works. I got them all fooled. And then he says something about Mars and she's like, oh, the simpletons like you.
Mhm.
She one-ups him right there,
Yeah.
throwing his words right back in his face.
Yeah.
Like father, like daughter. It's just so great how in the end, he points out that she's a mad narcissist,
Mm-hmm.
almost oblivious to his own narcissism.
Right. Just yeah. I mean, we can talk about that later, but sure, that was
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and jump from there to Europa.
Let me ask you a quick question though.
Okay.
When we did watch this one together, which was nice, first time actually.
Mhm.
Long time listener, first time caller,
Sure.
and that opening scene, I was thinking, it's 1985, and you said, "Is this in the future?" Did you think was there a red herring or something to you?
No, I mean, part of me started wondering if there was going to be some other weird time travel aspect to it.
Oh, okay.
A sort of twist where he's recording this video in 1985, or we all assume it's from 1985, but there was going to be some reveal that he was de-aging himself and recording this 1985 video actually from the future in an event to try and change course of events. It was unfounded.
No,
It's
not
not how it
unfounded.
worked out.
Swing for the fences.
Yeah. But we jump ahead
Yep.
to, I guess it was 2017, I guess, somewhere around there, 2016, 2017. He's in the prison cell
Mm-hmm.
back in Europa, and he pulls out his musty old nasty cake.
Mm-hmm.
Time has passed, I guess, one more year, and I think they like to show us on the year kind of anniversaries of every scene that he was in.
Yeah.
And suddenly, the spaceship with the big white ball sack drops down for him, and he plans his Shawshank Redemption escape.
Yes, Fabergé egg.
Yeah, he takes his little horseshoe, he scurries on out of there.
Well, no. Before that, he threw off his burlap sack,
Oh right,
and he was fully clothed.
fully clothed in a pretty clean and pristine looking outfit,
Pretty weird.
old school Ozymandias.
Yeah.
And he scampers on over to the ship, and he's confronted by the game warden.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought there was just something, it really reminded me biblically of the murder of Abel by Cain in a way. It's like there's, and I know he's killed a bunch of these people before,
Uh-huh.
but the game warden seemed a little bit sacred. He seemed more
Yeah.
special than the rest of the clone
Sure.
babies, the Adam and Eve clone babies.
Yeah.
And so when he takes a horseshoe and plants it in him, it seems more primal. It seems that he's fighting someone who can fight back in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And the stain of sin has like taken over this Garden of Eden in a way.
I was wondering, like, what are they going to do now?
Yeah. Like now he's left this world, and that's, if this show comes back, there's a dangling thread of this Europa with this population that is now left to their own devices. Do they know how to continue the cycle of reproduction of their species?
They already destroyed all the tomatoes by throwing them and smashing them in his face.
They have nothing to eat. They have
Oh
no
my
tomatoes.
God, they're going to grill that Lone Ranger's body.
Oh shit.
Oh,
There's some buffalo around there too.
they're true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we know what happens with them.
So then he was able to escape. He hops on the ship. His little clones say Godspeed to him, just like Dr. Manhattan, which I thought was a little nice nod. Like they are still a piece of him.
Yeah.
A little part of him. And when he hops on the ship, we see the reveal that the message he sent was indeed "Save me, daughter," which a lot of people had guessed. So congrats, internet! You guys did a good job guessing that. And then he gets turned into gold carbonite. Yeah, and that was another thing that a lot of theories had, like that statue of him that's sitting in the vivarium, Lady Trieu's vivarium, was him. And it was.
Little Star Wars Episode 6.
Yeah. What'd you
I
think of
liked
that?
I loved it. I thought it was fun. It was kind of one of those things that's right in front of our nose, you know, but there was so much else going on that you can be distracted from that. And just like you you've said multiple times, like, yeah, it's crazy to think that Looking Glass might be a squid in a human skin. It's not that crazy. It's not too crazy to posit.
Right.
You know, so this is kind of one of those where, yeah, a million things could have been happened. That's a fun one. She talked about her parents coming back so many times. I'm more curious about the technology than anything else.
Right.
But yeah, it was cool.
She dethaws him. And I was thinking at that point, they went through a lot in this introduction of this episode to connect all these dots and explain a lot of the story and a lot of the questions I think a lot of the audience had.
Mm-hmm.
They now filled in all the pieces of what's going on with Adrian Veidt's story. It flowed pretty cohesively. It made sense. It was good storytelling.
Yeah.
And it made people go, okay, that's what that is. And it was such a weird mystery for all of the other episodes.
Yeah.
It threaded it nicely and packaged it all together really cleanly in the first 16 minutes. I don't even know how long it was, but it didn't seem too long.
And let me ask you about that. Thinking about Lindelof's legacy with, you know, obviously Lost and The Leftovers, did you think he really wanted to do something like this where he will just kind of say, oh, you're wondering? Okay, let's get out of the way.
Yeah, well, I think lessons learned from Lost and from modern television, like when Lost was out, people weren't on Reddit constantly feeding into each other and guessing every single
They had just
thing.
crawled out of the primordial ooze, and then they were like on the shore,
Right.
on the shore of 4chan, and they had not assumed their final form of Reddit. They started at Lycos Alta Vista, moved up to 4chan.
Might have been Dig. Remember Dig around there? Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So I think that he did work out that he wants to not only address mysteries a little bit earlier than people are anticipating, like get to the answers of certain things and push on with more mysteries, and you can continue building and writing that mystery wave as long as you are feeding people satisfactory answers along the way.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't like leading into, monstrous cliffhangers like he would do in Lost.
Yeah.
And that's a mark of the television landscape more so, I think, than just like a mark of maturity. I think that's like a necessity of a lot of these shows. You can't just let it linger. People are going to guess it. Anyway, I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, cool.
Let's jump to... Oh, wait. So, Trieu dethaws him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And looking at her, you notice like the white makeup she wears around her eyes?
Yeah.
She wears it like a mask, like almost. I think I was pointing this out before where I thought she had like this blue mask, but it was actually her white makeup when the blue light was hitting it was really capturing it.
Kind of that sparkly thing.
But in a way, just using subtle makeup, she is also kind of taking on a mask of her own. And that's making her a bit more of like an iconic figure among the pantheon of Watchmen, vigilantes, and superheroes and whatnot.
Nice glow up.
Yeah, nice glow up.
Yeah.
But she also presents Papa with his brand new suit. So he is now donning a Ozymandias 2.0. It's kind of like, Superman went through all sorts of redesigns of his suit.
Yeah, a little athleisure wear it looked like.
Yeah, he's got this fancy sports coat that still has the eye on the chest with the pyramid thing going
probably
on
wearing
there.
some Allbirds or something, kind of the gray nondescript shoes with the mesh lining. Yeah. Ugh.
Looking at my shoes.
Oh,
I'm
really?
like,
Okay.
Is that what I'm wearing? I don't know.
No, I wouldn't call you out like that.
Oh, well, it would be fair. And then Adrian Veidt, he humbled himself to ask her to save him, to call her daughter, and she recognizes it, and she says she appreciates it. But did you feel she really appreciated it, or did she now kind of look down on him?
She looks down on him, and it was for her too. Did you see the one time she actually got mad, right? She didn't even get mad when she had a hole in her hand. The one time she got mad was whenever someone, Dr. Manhattan stole his presence from her, right? She wanted him there to witness it. And she kind of played dumb the whole episode, which was incredible acting, right? I mean,
yeah, she might be my MVP of this
Yeah,
episode.
I love it when an actor is pretending to act. because that's when you actually see an actor's like, real chops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, of course you know what I mean. You're a TV and movie guy. You do this for a living.
I know what you mean.
But so the one time you actually saw in this, again, this is incredible acting, when you actually saw her get really angry was whenever, her dad disappeared. And she was like, fuck it, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. Little Bill O'Reilly reference for you. So yeah, I don't think she actually was really being thankful. I don't think really she has that in her. She doesn't think about anyone but herself and her own inner kind of machinations,
But she acknowledged it in a way that would almost seem like she was saying she was grateful, but under the surface, she was really going, I got you, bitch.
Absolutely.
Like, you are beneath me, because he still had a degree of power. When she came to him, humbled herself in front of him and asked him for money, and he's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And then now he needed her to save him, and now she can lord that over him.
Yeah.
So she did assume the power, and I would say that was the final link in her ascension to full-blown narcissism.
Yeah.
That she now needs to take on Dr. Manhattan's powers and just become a god.
She's Vader.
Yeah.
She Vadered herself. Yeah, I mean, when you think about her character throughout the entire series, this is someone who everyone else in this everyone else in this show really cares about. Well, I think some of the good characters, they care about family, right? That was Dr. Manhattan's final moments, which was a beautiful scene we'll talk about, obviously. And just the lengths people will go to take care of their family and protect their family. Her, she did have a daughter, and then we find out that she wasn't really raising that person as a daughter. She was just raising it as her mother to then watch her greatness.
As an experiment, too.
Pretty weird.
Yeah. She wanted to show her parents that she was better than them.
Yeah.
So she was trying to bring them both together and have them both have that degree of awareness. Yeah.
Anyway.
And you're right. This show is all about legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And in that aspect, you see how lineage dictates this idea of legacy and what you have to bear from your ancestors, like what Lady Trieu is trying to do in impressing her parents, but also, in a way, beating them.
Yeah.
And then how we see Angela is dealing with the legacy of learning about where she comes from and who Will really is, second guessing him before finally learning the truth and coming to a degree of acceptance. And you see she's kind of going through like all these stages of grief, really rapid fire.
Mm-hmm.
But with Adrian Veidt, we get a really like direct glimpse at his legacy when he goes to the newsstand.
Oh, that was a great scene.
And
a great scene.
Bunny Colvin from The Wire, the newspaper man, he's standing there and he's talking about, oh, you look like Adrian Veidt, or at least you could play him.
Mm-hmm. Cover band.
Yeah. You're close.
Yeah.
But when Veidt asks him about his legacy, he finds out that like he's become a joke, essentially. People thought he ran off into the woods, went crazy. His long-lasting legacy is nothing.
Not unlike the guy who he should have hired for his computer security. What's his name? McAfee? Have you heard about that guy's story? McAfee? Have you heard his story?
No.
You should Wikipedia it.
Is that the guy who sold his thing for like bucks?
I don't know about that, but he did run off into jungles, and now he's wanted on all these charges and stuff like that.
Really?
I don't want to talk out of school, but I know that there's an interesting story out there, so everybody look it up. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, not only is he not Alexander the Great, right? But he's not even Bass Reeves. Like, he's nothing.
Yeah.
So he's not even Zuckerberg.
And he even had the chance to start a new utopia, and he couldn't handle it over on Europa.
Yeah, old hat.
So, no respect. This guy's getting no respect for the things that he thought he was doing that he thought were great.
Yeah.
And maybe that is another reason why he was shedding that tear in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
This reflection on the failures of everything that he sought to attain. But let's move on.
Yep.
The Millennium Clock is now getting going. We see it operating in the sky, and somehow it is this floating orb that detaches from its initial pedestal and like moves around the city with them.
Why did they build the pedestal?
I don't know.
Why
But
did
that's
they?
what that rotating thing was. It was the Millennium Clock.
Yeah,
Tower,
why did
right?
they build like an 800-foot tall pedestal? They could have just built that thing on the ground.
I mean, I guess she wanted a reason to be posting up in Oklahoma for a while and being like, "Oh, I'm here on business. I'm seeing my project develop, and that's the reason I'm here. Don't ask any other questions." While secretly she was probably feeding technology information, second hand, third hand, over to the Senator Keene and his 7th Cavalry people, so they could reverse engineer and make all that equipment. So that she could monitor their process and get them to do the dirty work for her.
Yeah. The real question is, how much did she influence or prop up the Tulsa economy with that project? I mean, that has to be like the strongest growing economy in the country, Tulsa. Do you know how many people she had to employ for that whole facility?
That's not a bad point, unless she was just bringing in her own outside labor.
Doesn't matter. They still have to eat. They're still going to Costco there.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, there's going to be a lot of people without jobs now. The economy's going to crash in Tulsa.
That's such a bizarre thing to think about that I had not considered.
I'm just worried about the common man.
The Millennium Clock starts activating. It kind of looks like a squid eye, doesn't it?
I thought it looked like a squid eye, and I also thought it kind of looked like a little bit like a Rorschach test.
Oh,
It had these different cells that were symmetrical.
and it kept like looping and shifting.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
you know,
good
it's a
call.
stretch, but I liked it. Yeah.
And right as that happened, Veidt says the end is nigh, which was the sign that Rorschach, Walter Kovacs, would carry all around with him.
Right?
So it was a good echo of Rorschach going on at that point. And then that music. Did you hear that music? Like as it cued in, it was so creepy and ominous. And that is a fantastic track from their soundtrack. I love that one.
We're not just saying that because we got free vinyls.
Oh, do we have them?
Oh
over
yeah,
here?
oops.
Oh, yeah.
No, but I thought the music was excellent. It was well timed, it was well placed. A couple times you did stop to take notes of the music, so it definitely resonated. Yeah,
Yeah. It was playing to me. And then bring in the old white dudes. It was time for the Cyclops crew to kind of roll in, including an old man that we didn't recognize, but that's because we haven't seen him before. But he was key because he was Senator Keene Sr.
Yeah.
And they pointed out to us, again, with the whole legacy thing, and how lineages, this is all passed down, that he was also one of the heads of the Cyclops, the KKK unit of Oklahoma, I guess. Although I think it's a national organization.
It's franchised.
It's a franchise.
Yeah.
And he was there alongside everyone to kind of witness the capture of Dr. Manhattan, and it all felt...
Sit there like kind of on church pews with the cross behind.
Didn't it all feel like extra icky?
Ugh.
Like a bunch of like old white people watching a jailed black guy. I mean,
Yeah,
blue guy. But...
organized racism is always extra icky, but this did add that next level ickiness to it.
Yeah.
Oh.
You could feel like the history of pain in that room.
Yeah.
And if you guys looked at Peteypedia, you would know that Chief Judd Crawford, who's also legacy, his father was also the sheriff of Tulsa before he took it over. So you have that with Keene, you have that with Crawford. It's all these people passing down this power and these prejudices.
Yeah, it's almost like institutionalized racism is a real thing. Wow.
It is.
Oh, surprise. Yeah.
And do you remember how the show began with the Tulsa massacre? I was listening to NPR the other day, and they actually I think it was the BBC was doing an episode on NPR talking about the Tulsa massacre, and they at one point talked about how it used to be called the Tulsa riot or the Greenwood riot, and that was for people to kind of wash their hands and try and clean it up and call it a riot. And I'd been calling it a riot, not knowing that the proper term is Tulsa massacre. But
interesting.
It all seems to like tie together to that. But I think that we felt that was going to be a little bit more heavy-handed in message and delivery, how the riot and racism and how that was going to be addressed and maybe not rectified, but a reckoning with it in this show. And ultimately, it was Lady Trieu going for a power grab of trying to become a god, and how she manipulated these people to achieve her means.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of thought that maybe there would be this giant empathy spray or something that would, allow people to feel others' pain or something like that and really address it. But really, at the end, we just get, which I thought was really telling, you have Keen calling Angela just, a black bitch. Right. And then you saw her face kind of turn. It's like, gosh, she's trying to help these people. I mean, I don't know if she's trying to help them, but she's at least trying to stop Trieu and help them in a way too, right? Because that's just, she's in between a rock and a hard place here. And she's trying to do that just like her grandfather. And of course, all they see is this, just a less than, non-human, subhuman kind of thing. So yeah, I did think maybe it was just trying to be a little hopeful that it would get all resolved and we could all live this hunky-dory life. But in a way, nothing ever ends. And there's going to be racism after this, and, it's up to others to fix it.
Right. What I do think is important is I think that this show was very instrumental in starting that conversation, or maybe not starting, but continuing and emphasizing that conversation. And what you doing over there?
I'm just doing a little off-camera nog, and it makes a disgusting glooping noise, which I know you love.
You gave such a shit-eating grin when you were pouring that. It's like,
Well, I was trying to keep it away from the mic because I know you find that so appetizing.
It's gross. But, the conversation, I think, has been propelled by this show, and that's very important. And they didn't necessarily need to make that the central focus of the show for that conversation to be continuing on. And I think that's completely evidenced by the fact that more people are talking about the Greenwood massacre. Like, I saw it in the Atlantic did a big piece where they do these illustrated animations about it.
Yeah.
And then it popped up as its own separate story that said nothing about the show Watchmen on a BBC piece. So
yeah, I'm trying to think, like, obviously really good shows touch on social issues and socioeconomic issues and racial issues, right? I mean, like, you look at The Wire, you're like, okay, this is how probably an inner city police force works. This is how this is how people's lives are destroyed by drugs. This is how people are innocent people are just kind of swept up in this and crime.
The politics of it, the education system.
Yeah, right. I mean, so good shows always touch on that. But I can't really remember a show that touches on something that it doesn't need to just because it wants to create a forceful point, other than like a Ken Burns documentary, right? Which that's the meat of the sandwich. This could have gone a lot of other ways. I mean, hell, we saw how Zack Snyder did it. This wouldn't be a good podcast, that one Snyder burn. Usually coming from you. I just did this for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, when you look back on it, and they touched on it not just in kind of this localized Oklahoma way, thinking about, just fucking awful, like thinking about lynchings and stuff like that, but also looked at like colonialism and neo-colonialism in Vietnam and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So they really touched on like national identity, racial identity, cultural identity, generational identity. I mean, they had a lot of what would you say? Not pans in the fryer. What's the phrase? I've had too much nog in me. Lot of not coals in the fire, pokers, like little things, and they're doing a lot.
I don't know. I'm happy with what you said. Yeah, a lot of
he's cooking a lot of things at once.
Pins in the fire? Now I don't know. I'm not going to look on the chat. We don't need that.
Lindelof was making 8 or 9 souffles at once.
That's the expression.
We could even make one. Yeah, that's the expression. No,
We're always saying that about souffles.
That's a really good point. I think that you're right that we were hoping that maybe it would have been a little more front and center, the whole racial thing, or would have been resolved in a way. But just the fact that he brought it up and got people talking about it is a ton.
I mean, yeah, I think it was more like that was a little bit more of my expectation, but I was fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of my Cubes moments here happened right next.
Yep.
And that's when all of a sudden we hear the voice say, "Don't turn around."
Oh yeah.
I'm right here, but don't turn around. And yeah, Mirror Guy is back. Looking Glass. And I love that, even though she knows she now has someone in her corner, Agent Blake is like, "Oh, hey, Mirror Guy." And he has to go and correct her again. It's like, I can't be seen talking to you. But at the same time, It's fucking Looking Glass.
And,
God damn it.
and he's holding this giant fucking gun too. He upgraded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a guy who just wasted like 6 of these people.
And we still don't know what happened there.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes into the badass mystique of him. So
Speaking of badass mystique, I don't know if you have this on your notes there, your handy dandy note sheet.
Mhm.
Lube
I
Man.
don't remember things if I don't write it on the note sheet.
Lube Man, Lube Guy,
No lube guy.
which I am very happy about.
Me too.
There are some things he did learn with leftovers, like let the mystery be, and this is just a great thing to have.
Mm.
Is it Pedia? Did you check a Pedia?
I don't know if there's new PDpedia this week.
Okay.
But we know that Agent PD lives based on what he posted last week. He posted an article after the events of this.
Mm-hmm.
It was very vague, but like said after chaos rained down on Tulsa.
Okay.
That he had like 2 names that were definitely redacted of people who died, and he said he doesn't know the whereabouts of Agent Blake. So that's like
Interesting.
what was said about that before he went into talking about this book Fog Dancing that he found in
Yeah.
Agent Tillman or Wade Tillman's Looking Glass's house.
Yeah.
bunker.
Did he talk about his road rash he had from sliding into a gutter at 18 miles an hour?
He did weirdly say like something about like, oh, I'm icing my back.
Yeah.
No, none of that.
Okay.
Yeah, so then they capture
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Manhattan, capture him in the box, and
And really quickly, wasn't that pretty wild? I mean, they did a good job, as you would say, of like exposition and explaining things as they went. But whenever they picked up the phone, or somebody was on the radio or something, right? And we heard like shots fired. He's like, holy shit. I kind of was thinking, oh, is somebody like infiltrating the mall or something or what?
Yes.
And then we both, I think, realized at the same time, oh, that's the neighborhood. That's outside Angela's house.
yeah, that's what happened at the end of episode 8.
So it's kind of cool to realiase, okay, now we're caught up. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
That was exactly it, because we were both looking at each other like, wait, what are these shooting? What did they just say on the...
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was a good moment. And then we get, the evil bad guy, Senator Keene, giving his mustache twirling speech about white supremacy.
Really quickly, how did Angela know to go to the mall?
What do you mean? Oh,
She showed up there.
you didn't see this? Yeah, there was a scene where she grabbed the
Oh shit!
guy
That's right.
and
She was breaking
snapping all his
right.
fingers
That's right.
until
I
he
forgot
told
about
her.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Because at a certain point, he must have figured, I can tell her, and she's not going to be able to stop anything anyway. We have a billion people with guns.
Or he was in a lot of pain, and that's just what people do.
Or you just tell someone because you want to keep a couple of those fingers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot.
But yeah, that's how she figures out.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I think that Keene gave that speech that it's just another like stomach churning kind of gross.
Mm-hmm.
But then you kind of like, he's gonna get his
For
Like,
sure.
If there's one person that's gonna die in this episode, it's definitely this guy.
It's definitely him, and he was foreshadowing that by doing what Veidt said he would never do in the comic book series, is do the big villain speech.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And that's what Blake said. Oh, please don't.
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
please
yeah.
don't give us this shit.
Yeah.
I love the part where he strips down and he's got Dr. Manhattan underwear with like the hard V going on with him, and even
Weird.
Agent Blake was just like, oh god, you look stupid in those panties about it.
Yeah. Why do we have to have that? I mean, I liked it, I guess.
Do you think it was
artistically?
a little bit too much of a heavy-handed nod?
Nah, I liked it. I mean, it was okay. I mean, they've been chasing this for so long, and just like racism makes you fixated on just bullshit, they were fixated on this whole thing.
Yeah, it felt like hero worship that he like when he assumes that identity, he wanted to look the part
Yep.
too.
Yeah. Ugh.
And yeah, it was kind of funny.
I did love right whenever Manhattan appeared, we heard this redneck in the background, in one of the pews go, "Oh yeah, we got him," or something.
Right.
Anyway.
And yeah, you were already talking about like when Angela shows up.
Mhm.
And she's like pointing out like, hey, don't use the machine. Trieu obviously knows what's going on.
Yeah.
But he enters the yellow cell, and suddenly like the color yellow like really had a good presence.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything in there, the warehouse is like very muted and dull and dark, except for like the blue glow of Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
And then you get the yellow of Watchmen of the world, and it felt, I don't know, it felt like almost like a a break for the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, my eyes are really drawn toward that. And it does feel like it could have the potential for this hero moment where he does transform. There was part of me that thought maybe he would, and maybe there'd be a showdown. I don't know how it's
I knew
gonna
it'd
shake out.
explode.
You did?
Yeah.
Well,
You can't take that much power.
yeah. He was liquefied. And wasn't there some like weird like bubbling or churning
We
of
couldn't
like,
really tell on TV, and it's funny because
like this venom goo?
yeah, and I would recommend. Obviously, you're probably gonna watch it again, but watch it on a different screen.
Yeah, it was pretty dark.
It was dark. Ours
On
was
this
like
guy.
Game of Thrones, episode 5-ish kinda, or whenever the battle was. I don't know, was that episode 5 or 6? Yeah, I would watch that maybe on a different screen and kind of see, because I did see something bubble or almost, and that's why I thought maybe it was like squids or something, but it wasn't. It turned out to be this kind of organic matter, right?
Right.
I don't know. Yeah.
And that matter began to seep under there. The blood seeped under the cell. And I was immediately reminded of when Dr. Manhattan said that he could transfer his power through organic matter.
Mm-hmm.
So when he ends up touching it, for a second there, I totally thought he was turning people into other Dr. Manhattans. I thought this was going to be like that movie Shazam. Did I just spoil Shazam?
I've seen it.
But where suddenly the power gets shared.
Let
And
me tell
there's
you
a bunch
what.
of 'em.
There's one thing about Shazam that everybody should know.
Okay.
Yes, that is the guy from the OC.
It is the guy from
Isn't
the
that
OC.
weird? What has he been doing for 15 years?
He had a guest part on The League occasionally.
Why is that all he's been doing? He was great in the OC.
I never watched it.
The other dude got the whole Gotham show.
Who pods the OC? Is that what we're gonna do
man.
next?
See, only season 1 though, but geez, that was a good season.
I don't think I'm gonna do it.
Oh really? Okay, I'll do it on my own.
I thought that was a pretty touching moment where
Yeah.
he zaps them all to Karnak, like, oh, go save me, and those people being Blake, Veidt, and Wade,
Mm-hmm.
Looking Glass.
Mm-hmm.
But when Angela's like, why didn't you zap me out of here? He's like, I just don't want to be alone. And there's this very human moment about that he
Beautiful
knows
scene.
he's going to die, and even though he's experiencing all of his lifetime at the same time, he knows all of that's finally going to come to an end.
Yeah, beautiful scene. Really kind of shows you that Lindelof has not forgotten like what makes good TV, and it's just intimate moments between characters you like, kind of coming together. And I mean, seriously, like I'm not trying to be sappy. Like that's good TV, and we can't forget that with crazy shit happening, like frozen squids falling down. Just a moment between like a husband and wife, is really nice. Like, I don't know.
Well, allow me to go ahead and make fun of how sappy and saccharine it was.
Okay.
Because he suddenly says that, and then you get the Michael Giacchino kind of music. I know it's not scored by him, but you get the piano where there's just a couple keys of ding, ding, ding. It's all sad suddenly, and I was like, fuck. Emotionally manipulative shit.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Lost would do all the time.
Yeah.
This is what This Is Us does, and Parenthood, and
Oh, it's almost funny. I
think
think I remember somebody on their anniversary doing Instagram posts about how long, he and his wife have been married.
Did I have
Wow.
Did I have music backing that up?
You would if you could have.
I should have.
Next year.
Anyway,
You didn't like so did you think did it not fit for you? I mean, this was the last episode. He fucking got incinerated.
I liked it.
Uh-huh.
I think that I'm always a little bit standoffish to really emotional moments
Mm-hmm.
because I'm immature.
Mm-hmm.
But I can recognize when they're trying to pull at the heartstrings there, and now they're trying to get that reaction from me. It's just, I was like, oh, I know you're playing the music. I don't like those as much.
If they would not have done the flashback scenes, would that have been better?
I thought the flashback scenes were more effective.
Okay, me too.
Than the music, and I think the musical key was just so obvious.
I liked
It's
it.
like I'm being drawn into
It,
this.
it honestly didn't last too long.
No.
And then I mean, for me, I especially loved whenever they flash back to, like his original skin tone, I guess we could say. I mean, that was really nice. That's what made it like super intimate.
Yeah.
No more Dr. Manhattan. It's just like the 10 years we had together, which again, interesting kind of question, right? Like if you were guaranteed 10 good years and then maybe that would end, I don't know. I'd probably be searching like the census records to see like, okay, how long do people live? Like, how often, how often do like, okay, I know like, being a child of divorce. Well, I was like at 30 whenever my parents got divorced. An adult of divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is 10 good years as a family, is that enough? Is that good? Who knows, But it was just, that was the bargain. They had 10 years together. He's looking back on it, and she is too, obviously, right? And but she's actually maybe not looking back on it as much as him because she's still trying to fight and save him, right?
Right.
I thought it was beautiful. I liked it. I'm glad they had it. I'm glad it was the way it was.
No, I agree.
Okay.
So yes, I agree.
Okay. It's okay to admit it.
I liked it. It's just, part of me always wants to put on the brakes a little bit when I see those things.
So what happened after that? I'm trying to think now.
We jump back, like he gets eviscerated. We
go to
jump back to
Antarctica.
Karnak.
Yeah, we're in Antarctica. Okay.
And while they're trying to save the world, they're like arguing amongst themselves, like, he obviously sent us here because he knows that we can do something to stop what's going on.
Uh-huh.
Because they all trust implicitly at this point, or at least Blake and Veidt trust in him, that like if Dr. Man hadn't sent us here, he knows that we could do something to stop it. So let's go ahead and go through the motions and do that. But there's a point where Agent Lori Blake says, she's like, can we save him? And Veidt's like, oh, I'm sure he's already dead. Like so dismissively, so like devoid of emotion. I was like, oh, I identify with him.
He's up to yeah, right. No, he's up to his same old tricks, and I really especially love not right after that when after what Blake said, but when Wade said, realized that okay, he killed. Well, he knew it already, right? But he talks about killing 3 million people, blah blah. This great conspiracy, and it was kind of like the everyman's approach to it, like the Howard Zinn book to it, like. You have all these people, these superheroes and everything like that, and they can kind of justify everything. And that's the way the end of The Last Watchmen was. The other heroes were like, okay, we got to just let this go because maybe it is for the greater good, and who's going to believe us anyway, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But Wade's just a dude from Oklahoma, and he's kind of like, he sees the guy, and he knows this now, and he's like, no, hold up a minute. Like it's kind of like looking at the Trump impeachment type stuff. We have the Mueller report. Mueller doesn't want to go too far because he can't. He thinks there's a certain amount of propriety he has to have and all this stuff, and he's like, well, it's not for me to say. This is for the House to do and then the Senate, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But a normal person could say, oh, yeah, okay, we know what you were doing. You know what I mean? Like, we can just call it as we fucking see it. And that's what Wade did, which I loved, and it kind of foreshadowed, which we'll talk about later, but foreshadowed him getting arrested afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
So, I loved Blake's scene. I loved them kind of being back in mission control, which was a lot of fun. And then really going to like old like steam engines or something, right? Like he looked at like this old copper tank and he's like, turn that dial down to 22. Like the steam.
It felt like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah, it was like a steampunk kind of Jules Verne book. It was really funny. So yeah, it was a cool scene. I like that they were there.
Yeah. Their dynamic, how they all played off each other. I agree.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Then he basically has concocted this plan that they're going to freeze all the squid that he always rains down. And that was a great payoff for that plot point.
Mm-hmm.
Like somehow it seemed almost that he must have automated this system to still rain squid while he was away.
Uh-huh.
But it did seem kind of weird to us. Like, what is the point of them having raining squid? It's a cute oddity in the first episode.
Uh-huh.
But that this turns out to be the saving grace for humanity of avoiding another Dr. Manhattan's existence in the world, right? I thought it was good. I wonder if it was foresight or if the writers are just that clever that they can figure out a way to manufacture, this is now going to pay off in this episode.
Well, I actually think the plan was sound if you're going to buy into that plan.
Right.
You need to constantly, we're idiots, right? We humans are idiots addicted to 30-second cat videos on YouTube. We don't have great attention spans. So you need to have those constant kind of maybe random reminders of, there is a trans-dimensional kind of enemy that could kill us, right? So I think that it was, if you buy into that plan, it's a sound plan. I do think it's pretty funny that Veidt's like, well, he sent me back here. I got to shoot my shot.
Yeah.
And my only shot is that I have millions of tiny squids and we can turn this copper tank to the left a little bit and freeze them, which was wild. Also, they go through a human hand, but not the police windshield. They just kind of jumped off that like hail.
Hmm.
Like minor hail damage. You know?
Bulletproof glass.
Maybe it was tempered. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I
But it was fun and it was quirky and it was kind of one of those things that makes sense with this show, right?
it felt a little bit like the brick joke, the
Mhm.
payoff, where there's this seemingly bizarre but maybe relatively innocuous element of this show. What is up with the raining squid in the very first episode?
Yeah.
And they don't really address that for like 8 or 6 episodes, I think, until we get to episode 7? Or is that episode 8?
You know what's funny though? When we look at
Episode 8?
Yeah, episode 8. Yeah, you know, when we look at the squids, the first episode, it seemed like they were pretty normal. Like it seemed like it was a regular occurrence because Angela even had a squeegee back there and she's like, "Oh, damn it. Okay, get the squeegee." It was right there. It wasn't like in the trunk. Although maybe she had a hatchback. But you know what I mean? It was within arm's reach. She can just grab it, take care of it. But then later on, it just kind of it seemed more, I guess, less frequent, right?
It didn't seem like you would get a squeegee because this is going to happen once a month.
Yeah, if something happens to me, like if that happened once a year, I probably wouldn't get the squeegee. If it was like every 2 or 3 weeks, I'm like, okay, let's invest $3 at the gas station.
Right.
You know? So I don't
they
know. I
probably
wonder
didn't
how
fully think it out there, like how they would resolve that.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe she's just very prepared where other people aren't with stinky squids.
It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
And also, I guess they live pretty close to downtown Tulsa.
Yeah.
Or no, no, but you know what? They had the shattered, because I'm just saying their front door was kind of shattered glass. Maybe that was from the shootout.
Oh.
I don't know. I kind of thought it was squids, but maybe it was a shootout. I don't know. Anyway.
Possibly. He delivers one last line in Latin, which is essentially takes one to know one. Very Pee Wee Herman.
And I
there.
loved how I think you started typing notes on that, and then he just told us what it was. I was like, okay, cool. Grant,
I wasn't writing
Grant
that
doesn't
what it
have
was
to,
in Latin. No.
Oh, okay. I was like, okay, Grant doesn't have to write that or look that up afterwards now.
The police show up at the scene of the crime, see how they fly, and then the phone starts ringing. Where Beyond picks up the phone in the phone booth. So now this is playing a role again. The Manhattan phone booths they're able to hack into. However Veidt does that. Sure.
Ramses 2-2.
I mean,
or
when
Ramses
you have
I.
When you have the smartest man in the world, like in your room in the plot, then how things happen is just like, he made that happen.
Yeah.
Like that's like a writer's cheat sheet. It seems like he's the smartest man in the world. He'll know how to hack into those booths and just call that direct one.
Question for you.
Yeah.
If we had the smartest man in the room here, would he even pay attention to us?
No.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you ask him, like, hey, can you help me with this quick thing? He's too busy doing more important things. So, in a way, is the smartest man in the world really that valuable? I kind of want somebody like maybe Mensa, but not completely closed off.
You know, we did have someone who was paying attention to us who said that I am arrogant and humorless.
Yeah, 2 words.
So
that's okay. Well, hey, thank God this is the last one.
Those are our audience.
Thank God also this is a free podcast that no one's making you listen to.
They felt
Jesus
they felt
Christ,
handcuffed
people.
to the pod.
Turn the dial. Anyway, go ahead.
There was a really weird shot that I think I even turned to you and stopped and said, like, what is up with this shot?
Pre-stigmata.
Yeah, where you have Jesus on the cross in the background where Lady Trieu is in the machine. Felt a bit heavy-handed.
Did that get to the Catholic boy in you? That inner Catholic boy?
The Catholic boy in me went, not feeling it. No,
really?
What is that?
I'm scared.
I was just like, it just felt like I was like, come on, Lindelof. No.
I mean, it was, but to be fair, we have had some pretty heavy-handed moments in the show and they've worked.
Yeah.
So this did feel pretty expository, like they're just explaining a ton to you and then they do that.
But followed right by the stigmata wounds. And are they trying to pin her up as a sacrificial lamb in some sort?
I thought it was just kind of cheeky. I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
She's no sacrifice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She probably...
You and I aren't true believers, but you can see some like goodness in the historical figure of Jesus or whatever. She was not that person. She was not that selfless person. In fact, she's the opposite, right?
She boosted the economy. You said so yourself.
You're right. She did. She's responsible for a lot of taquitos, mini pizzas at Costco. My God, you remember those mini pizzas?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I used to work at Costco.
No. Oh, is that why you were into the pizza there?
Mm-hmm.
The slices? Yeah, okay. I remember that in college.
It was not so shabby.
Yeah, so she is right for boosting the economy of Tulsa, but other than that, I mean, she used a lot of rare earth minerals, materials for nothing. At least the 7th Cavalry had the good environmental sense to reuse batteries.
Recycle, reduce, reuse.
Exactly.
They're concerned more about climate change.
Yeah.
As everything's breaking down and chaos is raining down on the city,
Yeah.
we see Red Scare and Pirate Jenny pop up.
Well, let's not even go. Well, wait. Are you jumping to the after? You jumping to after everything's okay and they're in the car checking on them?
No.
Okay,
In the
continue.
beginning, when all the police showed up, they popped out of the car, so we know they're there.
I didn't see that.
And then when the squids start raining, I was scared for them.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, because she's been on our radar, our next to die radar, for 8 or 9 weeks now.
I thought, maybe they're both goners. They should have been.
Well, the thing
They
is,
were close enough to the perimeter of where that rain was happening.
if one dies, the other dies.
Yeah.
Right? Like Lindelof was not evil enough to leave one alive and let the other die because I don't think they can survive. They're like his dark materials. One of them's the demon. I don't know which one's the human, but the other one's the demon.
The other one's the familiar, the animal that gives them their life force.
Exactly. One of them's the soul that's in animal form. So
One's Turner, one's Hooch.
Yeah.
They need each other.
I did not actually see them there, but I'm glad I didn't because then I'd have been worried about them.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that when that happens, and I might be skipping ahead, so I don't think I am, but we have had these really wonderful acts of bravery in this show, which I love, love, love. What are you laughing about?
Every so often you just come up with I got to advocate for the blue line.
I'm not advocating for the blue line. I am advocating for Angela getting a Samsonite case. Greatest movie using the word Samsonite.
Come on.
Come on,
No,
say it.
I don't need to say it.
Say it.
You're being dumb and dumber right now.
Yes. God, that's a good movie. So, running with the
Okay.
Samsonite on top
Yeah.
of the dome,
Mm-hmm.
just through hell and high water, she's going to get to her kiddos. And when she first started running, did you know where she was going?
No.
I didn't either. And then it kind of course, just like everything else, all kind of clicks in, right? When it's supposed to. Beautiful, beautiful shot, beautiful scene. It was kick-ass. It's kind of like Star Wars where we just buy into the fact that all the stormtroopers are going to shoot like 1,000,000 lasers at our heroes and they'll never hit ever.
Right.
Right? And we just, for some reason, through 8 episodes, plus Solo, which no one should watch, right?
Right.
Plus Rogue, which everybody should watch, might be the best show in the whole thing. And then Clone Wars, yada, yada, yada. Rebels, not that great. Okay? But we fully accept for 40 years that no stormtrooper is ever actually going to hit the target. Okay? I don't know what they're doing in basic training there, but it's awful. Here we accept the fact that she's able to run and none of the millions of squids falling is going to hit her foot or make her trip up or something, right?
Right.
Or her hands, she's got exposed fingers right there. Nothing hits. Either way, I bought into the fiction. I'm glad I did because it was another great scene. It reminded me of Wade running into the warehouse mall, whatever. You and I have disagreements about that, but running in there with a fucking handgun, And there's a ton of other really brave moments, like Angela last episode running outside to kind of save her husband. I don't know. Did you did that do anything for you, or was it just me here?
No, I agree. I thought it was it didn't seem like as much this is a brave hero moment, so much as this is our protagonist getting out of Dodge. And
Okay.
I was along for her, saving herself in the midst of chaos and continuing the storyline from there. And when I realized she was running back into that theater, it really felt like the story was kind of coming full circle.
Yeah.
We're going back into the, what was it called, the Dreamland Theater or something like that. And as she's running in there, I was immediately returned to the very first episode with the Greenwood Massacre and little Will Reeves, or whatever his real name was at the time, sitting in the theater watching that movie. And I was not sure how they were going to resolve that, because where we left off from, let me switch over to this camera. So
do a little. I like to call it off-camera nog. It tastes better when it's off-camera.
Off-camera nog.
Tastes delicious and smooth off-camera.
But when we see her go into there, that situation, we're at the point where we're not sure what she's going to feel about that whole thing, because we know that how Cal basically expressed it to her was like, oh yeah, like Will was in on this, and Trieu was like, yeah, Will was in on this, and like sold Cal out. And so
Yeah.
we're thinking she's going in there with vengeance in her heart.
Well, I think structurally, you're right, and B, structurally, thinking about that theater, which was showing Oklahoma, the fictionalized version of of the history of Oklahoma, and then when she goes into the theater with her memories now that she has from the nostalgia pills, right? She has a different idea of what the real Oklahoma is, okay, and its real history with the riot, which we now call a massacre, which was a massacre, right?
Right.
And I do think that was nice to kind of sometimes you just got to sit down with family. You just got to sit down with people and find out what was really going on. And I kind of thought it was like, look, I understand it either way. Like if he did, I don't know if he necessarily sold him out, but if he does sell him out, right? It's to end this racist organization that has a history for 100 years of doing like mind control and making people murder each other. Okay. So for him, it's like, okay, good reason. And he even went upstairs at the very end saying, for all his power, he didn't do that much. So for this guy, he's thinking, you know what? He visited me. Seems like a nice guy. He seems like he could be a good husband to my granddaughter, but he hasn't really done that much. I need to do something too.
Didn't you think that was like a real dick thing to say though? like she just lost her husband and he goes, he had that power. He didn't do much with it.
Kind of like Good Morning.
Good morning.
That I saw today.
You.
Like good morning.
What a dick thing to say.
Yeah. Really. Yeah. Cute. I'm glad. Okay. So, wasn't the greatest thing to say, but also it kind of played into her now going and having the egg. No fear of salmonella with her,
No. And yeah, you're right. I think that she had obviously gone through an ordeal, gone through pain and trauma, and just lost her husband. And I do think there was genuine love in that relationship that's a lot of pain, and that's like a lot to kind of go through and
For
handle.
real.
So her sitting down next to him and just like talking to him, it felt like she was at a point where she was ready to just need someone and to reach out to someone, and I like that whole exchange between them
Me
where
too.
he's like,
Me too.
he slowly is like feeling out where she is at, like, is he gone?
And
Is she gone?
and real quick too. First things first. Let's make sure the kids are okay because that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he had the dark theater lit stage center, or however you say that, center stage, whatever, right? And they're sleeping, and snoozing. She's kind of like, okay, that's checked off my list. Now I can talk about family history and all that stuff, right? So it was nice that we had a quick kind of recognition that the kids are okay, and now she can relax and kind of get into her whole thing, which I liked, because that's the most important thing. So it worked well.
And the biggest twist of it was that him essentially saying like, Cal,
Planned
Dr.
this.
Manhattan knew.
Yeah.
He knew about this whole thing. He told me to work with Trieu because he knew this all had to play out the way it did.
And isn't that weird? Because he talked about the tunnel. So obviously there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I guess he did not know what happened in those 10 years, but he knew when he awoke, when she took a hammer to the head, that he was himself again. And I guess he had those memories.
Right.
Right. So it was kind of like he had this like future coma, and then he could kind of see those next 2 or 3 days. So he knew what he had to do to put it in place. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I loved the scene. I thought the acting was good. I loved that it slowed down. Again, this is what's so crazy about the show is that 5 minutes before we have frozen squids putting holes in people's hands,
Right.
And then we get this really intimate moment. It
Where
was
a
nice.
granddaughter is like reliving the pain of her grandfather, and they're bonding over it.
And not only, yeah, exactly. And this is somebody we have to look back now at some of the last few episodes, which were great, that touched on Saigon and everything, right? Or is it Ho Chi Minh City? I'm just kidding. So, she's somebody who really has not had a family since her parents were blown up, right? In a terrorist attack,
Right.
or freedom fighters attack, whatever you want to call it, right? So she's somebody who can be really, not calculated, but kind of like separate the emotion out. She wanted to listen to her parents or her parents' murderer get killed, right? So she doesn't have family.
She's emotionally distant a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but exactly. Just because she has to be, right? By self-preservation. And she was able to reconnect with family and get a little bit of that, and just to say something small like, "Hey, come stay in the guest room."
Right.
And that's a great thing too, because she doesn't say, "Hey, come stay at my house." She says, "Come stay in the guest room
for a couple of days."
Yeah, but
she's still keeping her distance.
Exactly, but it made sense and it was really nice. And listen, I doubt he stays for a couple days.
He's gonna live there until the end of his days.
I mean, you've seen This Is Us, right?
Yeah, that was gonna say.
He's gonna get cancer. Oh, it's gonna be sad. God damn. Anyway,
it's the same thing.
So then what happens?
He relays a line that Dr. Manhattan had essentially told to him, that you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. So she's like, the fuck does that mean? And immediately I was reminded of like so many theories. Like we had talked about, maybe he left a special egg when he was making the waffles. Maybe he left a blue waffle. Look it up, kids. Maybe
don't look it up. I did not look it up.
Maybe when he was standing on the pool, he shot out an egg.
No. We only talked about the first two theories. We never thought that he shat out an egg.
I read someone else say, go, "Oh yeah, I think you shot out an egg in the water. You see the water ripple." I'm like, no, stop. We're gonna find an egg in the pool. It's gonna be so gross. Don't eat that one. But it did remind us that like, oh, the egg is like this lingering mystery. Let's table that thought for a second because we got one more scene before we get to that.
Okay.
And that was that we jump back to, like you were talking about, Looking Glass and Laurie confront Veidt. Like, he says, "Hey, you guys can take Archie back. I got the original here. I thought it out." And it's like, "Oh,
hey,
cool. You kind of see it in the shadows."
I was right, too, that he shared the schematics. Or that he got them somehow, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But then we see that they're like, okay, cool, but also you're under arrest because, hey, remember you murdered 3 million people? Yeah, you gotta atone for that. And he's like so dismayed by it.
He is dismayed, and I always think, what does he know versus what? Like, how far in the future can he see? Did he plan this? I don't think so.
I'm gonna call bullshit on a scene here.
Okay.
Wait,
the fact you can hit somebody upside the head with a wrench, and they're not dead?
The fact that he was able to hit him upside the head with a wrench.
Right.
The Ozymandias we know, Adrian Veidt we know from the comics, and the same guy in this same episode who caught a bullet again is not the same guy you can sneak up behind and bonk on the head with an Acme wrench. It's just not going to happen.
You're right. I would say you're right 99.9% of the time. But do you remember the 0.1% exception proves the rule, right? Until it doesn't, but then that is the exception that still proves that rule, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. Do you remember episode 7? Kylo Ren.
I thought you meant of this show.
Episode 7 is somehow defeated by Rey, who's never held a saber. So maybe he was so surprised at what just happened. He was so out of sorts because of, he just had to freeze his squids, blah, blah. That was kind of unexpected. This is somebody who knows that he has to somehow, say, "Save me, daughter," which, Jesus Christ, a lot of letters in that,
That's a lot.
It was important that he did that because it was kind of a guarantee she would send something, right? So he could have been just so discombobulated from everything that happened. He's trying to take a breather. He's not thinking. And then, but I'll say this. I did think it was kind of like fan service for people who have read the comics. This is somebody who is so, he can stop.
Aware of his surroundings.
Exactly. He can stop bullets and nobody's going to get the better of him. And then we just have the regular old everyman Wade, who's just a scared, like.
Who picked up a wrench from somewhere.
Who just somehow got a wrench. And it was a big wrench, too. Where he could have also maybe picked up a caulk gun. I don't know. Like, this is just tools we don't see everywhere. And picks up a giant wrench and hits him in the head. It was kind of fan service.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we would like to do to maybe our dear old leaders sometimes. So, am I wrong?
No.
So, it worked. But yeah, I think maybe there is bullshit, but there is a little bit of the episode 7 Kylo Ren action that could have been happening.
Right. So we have Angela taking the kids home. They go through her Batcave first. You see Topher kind of looking around the Batcave and realizing she's Sister Night. And once again, this is the whole...
Don't say Batcave. I think
whatever. It was Robin totally saying the Batcave.
I don't know why. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
But It was once again the whole legacy repeating itself and seeing our parents through another lens.
Yeah.
And recognizing they're more complex than what we initially thought, which I thought was a nice final nod there. And then
Real quick.
the egg.
Real quick.
Okay.
Literally 10. I know people hate my tangents, but this is the last episode.
Do it, man.
15 seconds for you. Question for you, then I'll say mine. When's the first time you saw your parents as? This is a good question for anybody, right? Thinking generationally, when is your first memory of seeing your parents as like people rather than just these mythical kind of supernatural parents? When you saw they were people with just fears and anxieties or short tempers or whatever,
Nothing particular
Really?
pops out. Yeah,
Okay.
there's nothing. No, what about you?
I've got a dumb one.
Okay.
I've got a real dumb one. I get my braces off. And this is when whenever I start a story with I get my braces off, it's a dumb one.
Go on.
Okay. So it's like 7th or 8th grade. I get my braces off. Okay. And this is kind of late. Maybe it was like stunted development for me.
Yeah.
Oof.
You were like 35 years old.
Yeah. Right. This is last week. I was 36 and going on 37. And get my braces off. I wanted a Snickers bar so badly. Is that a national thing, a Snickers bar? I think so.
It is.
It always seems really Texan,
Yeah, you're
but
A-okay to say Snickers bar and
so
everyone knows
I get
what
a
it is.
Snickers bar. I love those so much, but I couldn't have them for like 2 or 3 years, because I had the braces. You can't have the sticky caramel and all that, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to get my braces off. And then they had to not set for a couple days, but you really still shouldn't have like sugary stuff or caramel, whatever, for a day or two. So I was like, okay. So when you're going to pick me up from school, and then we're going to drive over to the Wag-A-Bag, which is like a 7-Eleven or Circle K, and we're going to get a Snickers bar. And I've been looking forward to this for like 2 or 3 days, right? So we pull into the Wag-A-Bag, we go in there, and I see my mom. She's like, "Oh shit, I don't have any." Well, she didn't say shit because she was a damsel,
Fair.
Yeah, lovely woman. And she's like, "Oh darn it, I don't have any money. Let me look in the change." And you remember the old ashtrays and stuff? She pulls out the ashtray. There's a bunch of change in there, and she's pulling out coins. And I got furious because I was like, "You didn't think to go to the ATM and pull out money to get me a king size?"
You're just a human.
This is awful. So I got furious sitting there. I was like, I need my king size, And then I thought, oh, I bet she was doing other stuff today and didn't think to go to the ATM. Now I've shared that story for better or worse. But for me, it was 7th grade. I'm wondering what other people thought too.
Oh, man.
Moving on.
Topher figured out that she was Sister Night. You figured out your mom might be too busy to get you a king-size Snickers. It's completely relatable.
I'm just saying I thought of that whenever I watched the
You're
scene.
like, oh, Topher, samesies, yeah.
Yeah, and I can also float staples and put them together to build castles. Yeah.
She realizes the idea of the egg, that one egg didn't get broken when she slammed them all down.
Yeah.
She Rockies it, she throats it, and then she's going to do that leap of faith. And he very distinctly said, I need you to see this for later, when he's standing on the water.
We talked about that.
So, do you think that she ate the right egg and she's going to be able to stand on water too? She is imbued with his powers, especially considering that not only did she get that egg and she remembered him floating on the water, but that right before that, Will had said to her, for him having all those powers, he sure didn't do a lot with them. He could have done a lot more. I feel like they were bam, 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 trying to set it up like, obviously she's going to get the powers. But they left it ambiguous.
This was a little bit of leftovers, which was really nice.
Like, let the faith?
Let the mystery be a little bit. I mean, in one way.
Or do you have the faith that she is? And it's
or it's a win-win. For Will Reeves, his whole thing was it's up to us, right? Like, he did not have superpowers. He did his own thing, right?
Mm.
We should visit this too a little bit, talk about what is a mask. And is it power, or is it anger, or is it, and that was kind of the conversation they had in the Dreamland Theater, or is it fear and everything else, right?
But a mask is what you have. Masks make men cruel, is what Ozymandias said to the gamekeeper, because he wanted him as an adversary. And he goes, was I worthy? No.
And that was Veidt being kind of his whole thing. When you can have anonymity, it reveals your true self, and that might be kind of your baser right? Nature, right?
Right.
Which is cruelty. Not the angels of our better nature, a la Abe Lincoln. So look, if the egg thing doesn't happen, then maybe she has this idea of, you know what, having a good family, fighting the good fight is all I can do, and that's enough, right? I can make change that way.
Yeah.
If she does get the egg, shit, that's going to be pretty wild. Or I mean, you know, if the egg does have power, that's going to be pretty crazy. Is she going to be able to handle it? I mean, I would assume so. She's kick-ass. She's badass. But you got to think, man, I hope there's a sequel.
Right. And
You
that's what we're left with.
Yeah.
Hey, listeners, if you are watching on YouTube right now, YouTube Live, right now is the point where I'll go ahead and say, go ahead and write your questions and comments, and write question or comment all in caps before you ask it in your post, and I'll be able to identify it, and we'll read it here on the episode. But getting back to what you're saying, that is such a lead-in to a second season, potentially, if they want to keep the same cast. I know there's been a lot of ideas that people have been pitching, like, and based on some of the stuff that cryptically Damon Lindelof has been saying about, like, hey, I made this one season, I could pass the reins off. The idea that this could be an anthology show where you have the world of Watchmen, but you could pick up a story in, Seattle, Washington, or
Pure Mando. Just go Mando with it.
Yeah, you could have one over on in Tunisia or Tatooine. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But if they were to stay here in Tulsa, you now have these built-up characters. You have Red Scare. You have Pirate Jenny. You have, I think she's still alive. We saw her in the car.
She's certainly still alive, but what would that show be about?
Well,
they're traffic cops, and that's it. We romanticize them, but what have they done?
You still have Looking Glass. You still have Adrian Veidt being arrested. You still have Dan Dryberg in prison, about to be freed. You still have now you have Angela as the new resurrection of
Can
Dr.
I tell you
Manhattan,
something?
potentially.
That is absolute horse shit. Speaking of that, I saw Santa Claus riding a horse today, which was wild in my neighborhood. I'm not lying. Literally Santa Claus on a horse.
Okay.
Crazy.
This is Texas.
Yeah. Dan, when it was 83 degrees today, by the way. Jesus. We do have Dan. And is he going to get home? You get out of prison, I assume, Matt, it's a great day. It's got to be a great day, right? You get out of prison, you go to your girlfriend or your love interest's house, your partner's house, and you see her have an owl under wraps.
You're still on about the owl.
Animal? Are you like, oh man, out of the frying pan into the fire? And now I'm with an animal abuser.
I'm pretty sure when he gave her a "fuck you" blue dildo, that was the end of their relationship. And I doubt he's gonna be like just popping by to see how things are going.
I'm saying
unless
that
he's picking up his pet owl.
She would get him out of jail and pick him up to kind of do the whole thing. Like she's like, hey, I remember last time you were a little spoon. I know you might need that again. But let me tell you something. You know what they do with convicts? With convicts, they use animals as like support animals, right? Like they have like cons and what do they call it? Like,
Yeah, I know.
There's like a reality show about it.
I don't know the reality show.
There's like convicts and pit bulls or something. So he's
like rehabilitation.
Exactly.
Animals.
So for like 6, 7, 8 years now, he's been in jail. He's been working with animals. So he's become an animal lover. And now he gets to her house and he sees that she leaves this owl under a cage, under a blanket all the time. He's not happy about that. He's ending their relationship ASAP. She didn't even have an MP3 player, for crying out loud.
Sharper image. She uses top of the line for this world.
Did we get any comments or questions?
I'm going to check that in a second. I just want to point out some debunked theories we had.
Yeah.
Aside from the Millennium Clock not weaponizing empathy, Topher was not special, particularly, as far as we could tell.
We don't know about Topher. We don't know about the elephant. It's not debunked.
The Adam and Eve clones potentially being Mime and Marionette, some characters from the Doomsday, or was it after Watchmen comics that came out? That didn't manifest.
Nope.
Lube Man did not come and save the day.
Whoa. We don't know that. He could have done something off camera.
You think that he was behind the scenes and it's going to be like some parallax show that they're going to show what he did?
Angela's walking into the warehouse / mall, right? Okay. She's walking in confident. All of a sudden, we see a sniper crosshair right on her head because somebody is at a building across the street and they're looking at people entering, coming, and going, right? They're protecting the premises. They have her on the crosshairs. They're going to undo everything that Lindelof has created. And then who slides into the scene? Lube Man.
Lube Man!
He kills the sniper, allowing her to walk in, and no one ever knows. And that's a sign of a true hero. And that's what, and no, seriously, that's what Veidt could not deal with, is the fact that he needed to be loved. Lube Man doesn't give a shit.
Okay. I love that. That was great. Will did not turn into an elephant.
Yeah, okay.
As was one of our theories.
That's ridiculous.
They didn't all end up getting superpowers from Dr. Manhattan.
Uh-huh.
And Will did not eat the magic egg when he first met him. There's that point where he said, like, maybe I'm Dr. Manhattan. And some people thought maybe when Dr. Manhattan visited him, he gave him an egg and transferred powers into him.
Because that's how he could, like, hang somebody at 105?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope, didn't happen.
So we were right about Trieu being Veidt's daughter, that he was the gold statue. Keen trying to become Dr. Manhattan, and Angela might potentially get Dr. Manhattan powers.
Yep.
So all that's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and check into the comments here. So, comment. First one comes to us from John Rubio, who says, FYI, guys, Petey has one last entry about Petey getting fired, and it pretty much confirms he was Lube Man.
Are you fucking kidding?
Oh my God. That is exciting.
Petey had Marfan syndrome and is also Lube Man.
No, don't say that part.
I'm just saying that guy had really long limbs. He had long limbs.
Man.
Okay.
That's all. This comment comes from Mod Mary 1, who says the HBO graphic logo poster has Angela with a blue glow. Watchmen in bright yellow letters. Egg yolk yellow. Ah.
Wow. Who said that?
You remember the iconic photo of her in all the posters?
Yeah.
Where she's got a blue glow, like she's taking on the blue.
Honestly, no, because I don't look at stuff like that.
That was from Mod Mary 1.
I like it, Mod Mary.
P.W. Gregory says, Lube Man disguised himself as a Rorschach soldier to go undercover, and Dr. Manhattan vaporized him. So maybe he was there the whole time.
That's why I got fired, because he didn't show up to work because he was vaporized.
Things just went sideways for the poor guy. Rubio says, Dr. Manhattan couldn't teleport from that cage, but why couldn't he just grow huge and use his giant super hands to get out? Doesn't he still have super strength?
Well, he was...
You think it was like neutralizing all of his powers?
He was worse for wear.
He was still able to time trip.
He was able to time trip, but he wasn't really able to control that much.
And he did shapeshift himself back into looking like Cal. So it seemed like he still had some degree of control of his powers.
But that's the thing, dude. Do you believe in metachlorians, or do you just believe in true love? Because he had the love of Angela, and for a quick second, he was able to look at her. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, fair. Let's see.
Wait, real quick. Would we have been happy with the story if he would have gone 100 feet tall?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
We needed the sacrifice.
That's the answer to Rubio's really good question, but that's why.
Let's see. Drew DeBoss XL said, hey, regarding Ozzy being frozen in gold, can someone answer on the phone? Because I called it.
Damn.
So I guess props to Drew DeBoss XL. You totally called it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Good job.
P.W. Gregory says, no,
it's not P.W. Gregory, it's Poor Gregory.
Poor Gregory. John Rubio says, weird that the whole mesmerism thing was a one and done throwaway thing.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I thought, I think we both thought when we saw the scene where all of the Cyclops people are about to watch the scene, and then Trieu was like, oh, nah, I am going to kill you guys.
She clicks something.
She clicks it, and all the beams come to them. And I thought they were going to start flickering, and I think you said something about this.
They're going to kill each other.
You said they're going to kill each other.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be that the tables had turned, and they made them just brawl and, like, massacre each other.
I would have loved that.
And that would have been pretty poetic.
I would have loved that.
But instead, it was just a... I kind of wish it had been
and
that
that's
one.
the thing, right? The villain thinks like what's his name's wife? You know? What's his name? Judd's wife.
Jane Crawford.
Jane Crawford, she thinks that she can still say, oh, just kill us. Like, you're not in the driver's seat, sweetheart.
Yeah, right.
Like, we're going to do what we want to you, and I hope it's slow and painful. Yeah.
Dead Lee says, do you think Veidt will be Dan Dryberg's cellmate?
Could you imagine?
What if the second season is just in prison? And it's just those two like working the system, and it's Oz season
God,
35 or whatever.
it's a new. Oh my God, that'd be a great spinoff.
Wouldn't it? Like you
Dan
have
Veidt.
like one of the like two of the most brilliant guys in prison. How do they operate? I would totally watch that season.
What's
of a show.
What's Dan's dad bod looking like? He had a little bit of a belly in the last few, issues
Oh,
of
you think
comic.
he's like just fucking jacked? He's just been hitting the gym every day.
Oh no,
That's
not
all
at
he
all.
does with his time.
Not at all. He gets on the spin machine a little bit, but he's mostly just reading.
Oh man, I do want to like fantasize about that, and I am. Yeah, that should totally.
It's not gonna happen.
Well, let's write our own like fan version of this.
Okay, put it
And-
up on MuggleNet.
We'll reenact it.
I like the first part of that. Yeah.
Well, it is getting late, folks. I do
Yep.
want to say thank you so much for all of your support, everyone watching this show, and then, giving us feedback, engaging with us, joining us on Patreon, joining us on Instagram and Facebook, and just going through this journey with us. I think this has been a really fantastic season of show.
It's been
of
a lot.
TV.
It's been a lot of fun, and it's been a short season, but every episode has been unique, and it's been really good to talk about. Yeah, I've had a good time.
Right. We will be back throughout this week. We're going to do a few more check-ins as we hear some of the other
Little mop up.
fan feedback,
Yeah.
see if there's any news about a season 2. And if not, we'll get working on our Oz script for the buddy comedy where Veidt and Dan are in prison.
Dan and Veidt, Cola, Rikers. We got to put them in Rikers.
Shit. Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Oh, or we can put them outside San Francisco. That'd be pretty sweet too.
Hmm?
Anyway,
You think like in Alcatraz?
exactly. Why not?
Fuck yeah.
That'd be pretty nice. It'd be a nice background shot with the city in the background,
Right.
Yeah, no, look forward to it. This has been a pleasure. I know we might be doing we got a few things in the works. We're gonna see what we're gonna do, but definitely the next week or two we'll be doing some cleanup episodes, some mop up episodes. I definitely want to see you get to a mailbag. And now you're coughing, so we're gonna go. I know you were going to
You
go
gotta
back.
call me out
You're
on
gonna go
that.
back to the computer.
Yeah.
The nog is empty.
The nog's empty, but we got pans on the fryer or tins we got soufflés. We have a lot of soufflés,
We're
folks.
stoking the fire, and we have soufflés,
So many soufflés.
and we have so many horseshoes in our cakes.
Thank you guys so much for watching us, for watching along with us. We watch The Watchmen
With
and
you.
we pod them with you. We love you guys. And
That's about it. Have a good one.